Well, have you got those feet down ready to go? Because we were just listening to Feet Down by NF, but you know what? It is a good way for us to start the day. Get those feet out of bed, get ready to run into what will hopefully be a fantastic Sunday. Good morning, guys. I'm Lindy. I'm here for, each of your Sunday mornings at Rhema CC. Yes, you are listening to us here on the Central Coast. Welcome to a new week, guys. Honestly, I want to say that I hope you've had a pretty good week at your house. Yeah, it's been pretty full on with the school holidays. Different kind of full on. There's always something to do, someone to attend to, something happening. Could be fighting, kids just being kids, that sort of stuff. But yes, for some of you guys, you may be, this might be your last weekend on school holidays. So treasure it while you can. Make the most of those times that you can spend, whether it's your own children or your grandchildren, perhaps neighbours' children even. I think we've got to grab hold of those opportunities, don't we, guys? Otherwise, it goes way too quickly. Guys, we are actually talking about something different over the next few weeks. It's a totally different path of where we're going to be going on a Sunday morning, actually. Something I've been thinking about for a while, but just wasn't real sure how to go about it. I love that we are all built so differently. And if you look at how the world functions, it really does function on a lot of different ways, a lot of different means, a lot of different intelligence, I think, is a good way to put it. A lot of us have different gifts, different skills, different abilities, different passions. And I want to draw in on that. I think it's a really, it's a beautiful aspect of humanity, that we're just so varied in who we are. One part of society that I think can kind of get overlooked from time to time is an aspect that also, we just couldn't do society without. It's one of those things that we need. What am I talking about? Well, I could easily start with academia. I could start with the academics, but I'm actually not going to. I'm going to start with the creatives. We live in a world, especially at the moment, where our kids constantly seem to need this, just that change in pace of what is happening. Their attention span is just so minute compared to what I think it probably could have been, even a few years ago. So our creatives in the space of technology and that sort of stuff, it's probably changed a great deal based on what the needs are in our society. But having said that, creatives go way back in time. And even when you look at the Bible and you look at, from the beginning, really, you've got Genesis and Exodus as kind of the first real reference, other than God himself being a creative. But Exodus kind of goes into the explanation of what creatives are. And I want to suggest, and this is just from my own findings and just the reality that we've got some awesome gifts out there that we just don't tap into probably enough, or just draw on or appreciate even. I just think if we look at Exodus, even there, God is assuring us that we are given different skills, different abilities. If we look, I'll specifically reference that, Exodus 35:35. The Lord has given his people special skills as engravers, designers, embroiderers in blue, purple, and scarlet thread on fine linen cloth, and weavers. They excel as craftsmen and as designers. So even back there where they really had nothing to work with, they were still working with what they had. And creatives, I think, they kind of deserve us, time. They deserve us recognizing what it is that they bring to the world. If you are a creative, and there is some pretty awesome people here on the coast who I can think of who are just built that way, where their mind is very, it's just a creative sort of space. I want to encourage you, if you are one of those, just keep at it. And, I want to assure you that we do need you. And, you have a place, and I just want to honour that. And, anyway, guys, that's what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. I'll be interviewing a few different people, actually, different types of creatives, and sort of what their world looks like, how it feels, to utilize their skills, their gifts, and how we can benefit from that. But yeah, we're just kicking things off this morning, so let's see how we go. And welcome back, Coasties. I hope you're having a fairly easy start to your Sunday morning. You are joining us here at Rhema CC, and I would just like to say welcome. We're talking creatives this morning. Now, that can vary in so many different avenues and so many different aspects. Obviously, today, our concept of creative is probably different to, times gone by, but I think it's really important for us to acknowledge all of it. We certainly would not be wearing the clothes that we are wearing if we didn't have creative people. We would not be living under the houses that we are, the roof that we have over our head, if we didn't have creative people. We wouldn't be, blown away by the different textures and tastes that we are exposed to if we didn't have creative people. And really, when it comes to things like technology, we wouldn't be able to experience even radio, unless we, and thankfully we have, been exposed to and, thankfully delighted by the gifts of creativity. I think creativity is one of those things that can be really hard to recognize. And I don't think we necessarily give it the honor that it needs or the honor it deserves, because we have people in our lives who have got some serious skills. I know for myself, I look around at even my own family. I've got singers, I've got poets, I've got artists, I've got, all these creative sort of minds. That's just in my family. And, I've mentioned here before, even my dad is one of these people who can literally just sit at any musical instrument. He'll, sit for a second, he'll hear a song, and then next thing he's able to play it. It's, in that case, I think is a naturally gifted creative, and we have lots of different modalities and methods that we can see creativity. And I guess in the next few weeks, I want to really honor that. And I want to encourage and nurture those who are creative to know that you have your space. I think often we forget the balance of task with how we achieve the tasks in life. Sometimes we can be so, we just want to tick the boxes to say we've done something. We can forget the level of creativity that's actually needed in that. And so, again, I just want to encourage those who do have a sense of creativity to utilize your gifts. God has given you the skills, the abilities, regardless of whether they are naturally adopted or learnt, or they are being taught through other people. Creatives make a difference to the world. And I know here, I just, even, sitting here of a Sunday morning, just to lyrically kind of take in some of the songs that we hear and the musical concepts behind them, that starts with a creative mind. It starts with somebody sort of going, I'm going to explore here. I'm looking forward to it. The next few weeks, I've got a few things lined up, I hope it's going to work. But yeah, I just want to honor that and give you hope. Now, if we look from the Bible's perspective, looking at Psalm, like all the different Psalms actually, you can see poetry and song through it. And you see that the gifts that David had, they were powerful, powerful tools. Even if you draw on the fact that God utilized his gift of song to really break down some serious boundaries and barriers in society at that particular time. I want to encourage you guys, if you are seeing obstacles in the world that you think it's going to take a certain, a particular type of mind, whether that's academics or even science. In the last few years, we've heard a lot of the whole concept of trust the science, and many of us have been challenged on that. But there are places for every aspect of how we have built society. My hope, and while I'm drawing over the next few weeks on the creatives, my hope throughout this year is actually to tap into lots of those different aspects. The mathematicians, the scientists, the poets, all of it, and sort of channel in on what makes that such a unique trait to that particular person or that group, and how society can be better for it. But creatives right now is what I'm sort of thinking, and I look at David and the role that God used and had him, his gifts play in how he ended up in a position of power, how he was in a position where he could prove that his God, our God, is the God of all, and he is the same God that can take down those giants, whether that's our giants that we are facing physically like David, or giants as in just what we face day to day. There are big things that every one of us come across. And I think we can be challenged to consider how our gifts can be used, and specifically, obviously, right now I'm talking creatives. But yeah, I think it's phenomenal when we consider how much God can use that gifting. Anyway, guys, we'll be back to explore some more. I've got a few things spinning off in my mind of where we're going with stuff. So stick with me as I too kind of grasp the whole concept of creatives and how special they are to us. Well, howdy doody to you guys out there. Hope you're having a pretty smooth running, morning this morning. It is Sunday morning for those of you who are kind of still in that headspace of where am I up to, particularly mums, dads and kids who happen to be, doing the whole school holiday thing. Or perhaps those who are just pretending it's not Sunday and would just like to sleep in but can kind of hear me in the background somewhere. It's Sunday morning, guys. Good reason to get up and enjoy the world that God has surrounded you in. I can honestly say it's a good thing. We're talking creatives this morning. We're talking the beginning of kind of a series on creatives and how God can utilize creatives. Now, I want to encourage you, if you know somebody who happens to be a creative person, get behind them as much as you can. Because I can honestly say it is one of those aspects of society that we definitely need, but it's a challenge. And I would say that it is a challenge because being creative is not something that there is a standard. You kind of can't put a box around a creative and say, okay, this is how I want you to do it. A creative is someone who is going to take it on board and twist it and turn it until it becomes something new. And there's no one main way that can be done. Obviously, there's different modalities that different creatives might draw on. But I have seen the ups and downs of people in my life who are very creative, and how at different times, there'll be something that they need to work on and it just hasn't come to them yet. They're still thinking it through, just waiting for God to go, come on, here it is. And it can be very time consuming. It can be frustrating for them. I want to ask you guys, if you do know somebody who is creative, be mindful of that. Get behind them and pray for them. And the reason I say that is because we live in a time where we need our creatives. We need those who can think up how to share God, how to share Jesus in a bold way. We live in a time where, you just want the truth out there, but you want to be able to do it in a way that grabs all different learning styles. And our creatives are the people who get behind that and do it. I know we can be moved through song. We can be moved through art. We can be moved through even TV shows or YouTube clips. That was weird. YouTube. What I meant to say was YouTube, but it just came out weird. I don't know what happened with that, but anyway. All I mean is there are different ways for us to be moved and be challenged by God through the creatives in our life. It can be a very long and arduous process. It's one of those things. I think they need our prayers, definitely need our prayers in terms of getting behind them, cheering them on, financially getting behind them, because it costs. It financially costs a lot to be able to get new resources out there. And, that's another way that we can give. If we can give, little bits here and there to get behind those who are creative, who are trying to get their stuff out there, you just don't know the power of that, guys. You've got no idea how much that will mean to them. And I say that because I have people in my life who You meet them and instantly you just know this person is just so gifted or so talented. But the frustrations, the barriers, the boundaries can be quite defeating and deflating. And for myself, I would say that the Christian faith is not, we're not supposed to be founded on the tall poppy syndrome. We're supposed to be getting behind and exercising joy, exercising opportunities, obviously as a method of kindness, of hope. There's lots that we can be doing when we are thinking about those in our life who have a certain skill set, like a creative, that they need our help sometimes. I would say that the means, even for us here at Rhema, to see you guys stand up and support us at different times where we've been going, okay, finances are right down, we need to get some help. We just need to have the assurance we've got, you guys have got our back. And you've stood up and you've got behind us. Well, this is what I'm asking again. Just having the awareness of those who are around you in your day-to-day life. Those who are creative, who are just thinking and exploring ways, or perhaps they're out there doing stuff but kind of struggling, get behind them and, pray for them, obviously. I have personal friends who have been involved in a lot of Hollywood and have seen things that, I don't know that I'd want to be exposed to. But they need our prayers. Creatives, they are in the kind of, where people just dream of going, and they need your support spiritually. Prayers go a long way. My request to you guys this morning is just to create the awareness that you have people around you who have particular gifts. They may need an encouraging word. They may need opportunities. If you are someone who is standing in the doorway going, I could do something with this, I can get people in, get them aware of this. They may be somebody who is, they're needing the financial assistance if you're able to offer that in some way. Basically, they need people to stand before them and say, I see a gift in you. God has planted this gift in you. Doesn't matter if it's just a naturally given, God-given gift, or a gift that is delicately and, just nurtured, I guess, has been developed through training. It doesn't matter. If you see something, get behind it, because my goodness, God can use all of us, but especially those creatives. I'll leave it there. Ephesians 2:10, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Honestly, I just want to say good morning, but I just want to say it is indeed a good morning when we recognize just how detailed we are as a humanity, as humans walking this globe in this current day. What a gift humanity is. And yes, we've talked about all sorts of things here on a Sunday morning in terms of that. But specifically this morning, guys, I'm talking about creativity. We look at the Garden of Eden and how perfect. Actually, let me just stop that thought for 2 seconds. For you at this very moment, just taking in nature. I know I talk about this quite often, but I'm totally in awe of what God can do. Just taking in creation at the moment. If you were to stop and walk through your garden, walk through, the local park or whatever, taking in creation that way, you imagine how, you look at that and you just can stand in awe. But then you look back at the beginning of time and you think of the Garden of Eden and just how perfect it must have been for Adam and Eve to stroll through it. And it started with a very creative God. Now, the other aspect of that is that God then decided that we needed to be created as well. He created male and female in his image. He decided, I should say, that he needed for us to be like him. And so there is that element of creativity that is seen in probably all of us in a lot of ways, but more so in some than others. So we're talking creatives today. We're talking creativity, and we're talking about getting behind those who are creative. Perhaps you are somebody who knows you have a skill. You know you have an ability that you haven't explored. Here is my challenge to you guys. God gave you that gift for a reason. And you are a delight to the church. You are a delight to this period of time. If you have a gift, I want to encourage you to use it. Creatives, yes, they think differently. They see things differently. I would say that I am very right-brained, which tends to be more of a creative sort of way of thinking. And quite often when you're a creative, you can get looked down like, you are insane. In fact, if I'm referring to myself in that way, I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. My daughter actually just moved back home, my 19-year-old, and I was talking about something I wanted to do in the house, and she just looked at me and she goes, what? Oh, I know what it was. It was these sort of really, like they're almost like a pink, almost like a salmon pink tile. And our kitchen is bright blue. I'm talking bright blue. And she first saw it and she's like, oh, what? And then she looked at it and she went, oh, actually that could work. And then she goes, Mum, you always come up with the most insane ideas. And then suddenly you go, oh, that actually works. So, yes, I personally can relate to that concept of people thinking I'm a total nutcase based on the ideas I have. But we have to trust our creatives sometimes. We have to trust them just to kind of go, this is a wild idea. This makes no sense, but I'm going to throw you in it because I trust that you've got a gift here. Now, that's even for our church leaders, I want to encourage you specifically. You know, if you've got people within your church who are creative, go to them and utilize those gifts because, my goodness, some powerful messages can be portrayed and put out there. We can challenge hearts through our creatives. We can challenge our communities through the colours we use in the buildings that we have. We can challenge those who are struggling with mental health. Them being able to access a part of their brain, which is the creative side, is a really good tool to recovery. And that's fact. That is absolutely true. Our creative side and our creatives need to be nurtured. And I want to give and highlight the creatives in our world, particularly up here on the coast, over the next few weeks, because I just think there is just so much that we don't necessarily recognise, but we have an obligation to really honour and respect those who have been given a certain gift. And creatives are it. They're for today, like where we're talking right now, our creatives need to be nurtured, encouraged, supported. They need to know we've got their back completely. But yes, I'm looking forward to the next few weeks actually, guys, because I'm hoping to have a few interviews lined up with some of those who are creative and just to hear their insights. What's it like being someone who thinks a little differently? And how do we support them? And that's where we'll be going over the next little bit. For now, though, I just want to support you guys. I want to challenge you. Get out there and give it a go. If you've got something that you have not yet explored and you know that God has given you a gift, if you can, find some way to utilize those gifts and allow Him to just breathe on it and just do what He wants to do. That I think that is the key. Let Him do what He wants to do. Rightio, I'll see you guys soon. And welcome back, Coasties. It is indeed a pleasure to have my Sunday morning with you guys. How's it going? Let me just ask you, how is it all going? Life, how's it going? I know I can't actually hear you, so we'll just, make believe I have. But let's just say it's going really well. So if that is the case, fantastic. If it's not going so well, here's some words of encouragement for you. God loves you. He knows what He's doing in this moment, and He's got your back. How good is that? Guys, we are talking sort of along the lines of creatives today. The creatives in our lives, and, even if we happen to be creatives ourselves, this one's for you guys. Creatives have a place in the church and in the world today that is different, obviously, how it would have been done generationally. I started this morning talking from a Bible verse. I kind of think where I actually started. It was talking about, it was actually from Exodus, I think, from memory. I'll have to go back because I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But it was just talking about how, we can, even in that time where they were talking, from the beginning of time, really, we're talking Exodus, like the beginning of the Bible, Exodus, Genesis, Exodus, skills and workmanship and using fine linens and things like that. Creatives have always been how some of us are designed to be. And I think we often overlook those who are creative. We get a little bit boxed in at times. We forget how to be open to new routines, new ways of doing things. In fact, I will actually admit that last Sunday as I was driving to church, I had a moment because I was actually leading at church on Sunday. But I had a moment where I realized that my anxiety gets triggered through the routine of everything just being the same, which is kind of strange because a lot of people are the opposite way and they need the routine. For me, I'm like, oh, okay, it's the same. So yes, there is another example of us all being very different. But in terms of creativity, I think we forget that we have a lot of people in our lives who are very creative, and we forget to nurture those gifts in the way that, would ultimately benefit from, the church, benefit those who are involved, all that sort of thing. And I guess this is a reminder this morning, I'm going to cover creative sort of thinking, creative ways, creative, even organisations here on the coast, and, what they do and how they have done things, and highlighting just how beneficial they can be to us as a resource, as a tool to be able to, share who Jesus is with people of all ages, kids, adults, elderly. Creatives can meet people where they are. If you think of your sort of church ministries, there's often a craft group. That is not where you will find me because I'm terrible at that stuff. But for those of you who are kind of the creative minds in that way, where you can come up with something that's crafty, I want to honour you and just say thank you for what you do in your ministries. For those of you who are going behind the scenes doing IT sort of work, you might be somebody who is working behind the scenes to ensure that church, your church, our church, whoever's church, the church functions, that things run smoothly. We need you, and I just want to say thank you for that. For those of you who come up with, storylines through, it could be actually through stories themselves, children's books, it could be through plays, it could be through musicals, it could be anything, that creative part of who you are. That is just such a gift to the church. And I want to honour that. I want to say that you are so indeed valued. You are loved. And I want to encourage you to do more, to get out and to share that more. I'm going to end with this, guys. Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, do your work heartily, as for the Lord rather than unto men. It's not about the recognition of what you'll get from others, although I do want to draw on that today and just say, I see you, we recognise you, we validate your gifts, and we want to uplift you. We want to ensure that you are needed in your churches, your local churches, the church as a whole. We do need you guys, but ultimately every one of us stand before God, and it is about honouring Him and working hard to utilize those gifts that we've been given for Him. If you are someone who has been bitten by the words of other people, if people have been negative and brought you down through words that are just not encouraging, turn your eyes back on Jesus and look Him straight in the face. Ask Him eye to eye, what do you want from me, God? You are my Father. What do you want from me? How do you want me to utilize these gifts most? It is not the voice of man that should be heard. It is God's voice. Tune into Him, guys, and keep doing it. If you're a creative, again, we need you, and your gifts are so valuable to us. I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm going to see you next week, where hopefully we will have a few I'll have an interview, hopefully, with some of those creatives that I'm talking about today specifically. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see you then. All right. Have a good one, guys.